High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello everyone and welcome to Overtime, the show that gets you up to speed on all the Friday night football action. I'm Scott Leber.
And I'm Regan Holgate. Coming up over the next few minutes, we'll take you to Stillman Valley, Byron, and Winnebago for big Northern Conference action. We also have a good one in the NUIC between DePeck and Dakota. And we'll look at the issue that everyone has concerned in high school football, a lack of officials.
Yeah, we're going to start tonight, though, with the Nick 10. Belvidere North and Hononega began the night tied for first place with 5-0 records. Boylan was right behind at 4-1. The Titans needed this one to keep their conference championship hopes alive.
Hononega was looking to stack another very big win onto its 15-game conference winning streak going back over the last 2 seasons. This was our game of the week, and there was not an empty seat in the house for this one, as you can imagine. And what a start we had here. Rashid Johnson on the opening kick return. He'll break a few tackles and take it all the way to the house. 90 yards, I mean, that's one way to tell them you mean business, folks. Boylan defense making big moves tonight, too. Huge stop here in the backfield from Luca Caravello for a loss. Next Boylan score will come in the second. This time Makai Glover on the carry, and he'll muscle his way in there. Titans lead 14-7. Titans just rolling. No answer from Hano. Connor Dennis lobs one into the end zone, and who else would it be besides Johnson? His second of the night, 21-7 now. But the Indians weren't giving up just yet. After one lucky PI call, Hano will take advantage. Cole Warren will have Isaiah Hui on the edge, and he'll get in for 6 to end the first half. But Hononega was no match for this Boylan offense. 33-13 the final, and the Indians pick up their first loss. We'll welcome in our Nick 10 analyst, Tim Bailey, to discuss this one. Tim, I can just see you itching over here. You're ready to talk about it.
Ready to talk.
Just give us your biggest takeaway from this game. You see that final score.
Yeah, you know, you had two great teams going head-to-head. That's what I loved about it. You love to see those types of teams going head-to-head. It's a big rivalry between those two schools. You know, offensively, Boylan came out on fire tonight, as you see here in this video. Opening kickoff return, Rashid takes it, you know, almost 95 yards up the gut. I think that set the tone for the Titans. I like what they did offensively. They set the tone in the running game. They set the tone in the passing game. They were well balanced on offense tonight, and that's something we hadn't seen from Boylan in a while. But you know, overall, you know, it was a great game, and I think the Titans have made a statement tonight. I think they're now, you know, sitting in a good spot to, you know, do some things in the conference that, you know, may have some teams on the fence, so to speak. So. But it was a great win for the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans were the Boylan team that we have come to know so far this season, moving the ball on the ground and in the air with that balance. But Hononega on offense, they really struggled running the football.
Yeah, they did. You know, that was one big thing going into the season. I knew Hononega was pretty weak at that position, and it pretty much showed tonight. You know, they just don't really have that depth as they did last year at that position with some guys that they graduated. But they, you know, in the passing game, you know, they did some things well in the passing game, but Boylan just really came out tonight on defense and really smacked Hononega in the mouth. But overall, I thought it was a good match tonight between the two teams.
And you talk about Boylan's offensive line and the protection they gave Connor Dennis tonight, which was quite a bit, but you can't sleep on the D-line.
No, the D-line played well. The D-line of Boylan got really great pressure on Warren tonight. Flushed him out of the pocket. You know, a lot of times, you know, he had to throw, pretty much thrown on the run. And sometimes, as a quarterback, when you're throwing on the run, sometimes that ball can come out kind of goofy, and it could really sail on you. But Boylan's defensive line and their linebackers really played well tonight. There is one thing I like the Titans to do. They need to maybe stiffen up a little bit more on the secondary side of things, because there were some things that I saw tonight in the secondary. There were some question marks there.
All right, we're going to move right along here. So, Tim, stick around for a bit because we're going to get your reaction to some more Nick 10 action in our next segment. We're going to see if Belvidere North could stay undefeated.
Would Guilford become eligible for the playoffs, and who came out on top in the Harlem East game? The East E-Rabs lost to the big three of Belvidere North, Boylan, and Hononega. That left them with some work to do in order to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they have a tough one, too, next week against Guilford. So tonight was a key game for the E-Rabs. They hosted the Harlem Huskies. East to Terrace Dotson on the kick return to start the third quarter. And boy, can this guy take it to the house. shifty moves there, and he is gone. But unfortunately for him and the E-Rabs, it was called back by a penalty. They could have used that. They were down 21-7. Jamani Muhammad now for Harlem. Rushed for 301 yards last week. Here he goes again. Number 21 is something else. He's in for the TD, but hold on. That was called back by a penalty. He had busted one earlier for a TD. Javius Catlin up the middle, bangs off a defender for the touchdown. That cut it down to 21-12. Harlem back on offense, and here goes number 21 again, Muhammad. Yeah, forget it. You're not going to catch him. 35 yards to the end zone. It was 28-12. E-Rab's not giving up. Catlin again running with some power up the middle. That made it a 28-18 game. That's the way it ended. Harlem beats East 28-18. Two pretty good weeks back-to-back for you. 301 yards rushing last week. You popped two long ones today. It looks like you're just feeling more and more confident and comfortable out there, huh?
Yes, sir. You know, my line, they stepped up a lot. Yeah, we just really stepping up as a team, working hard at practice, so it all pays off in the game.
Do you feel like you're reading defenses better and reading the holes a little bit better?
Yes, sir. You know, I've been being more patient in the backfield, reading my blocks, and then just hitting the hole, and it's the rest from there.
At Freeport, the Guilford Vikings were going after their 5th win and a potential playoff berth. Third quarter, already 22-14. Skylar Wolf is going to keep it and find some space, and that'll be a big play for him. One play later now, Jaden McGruum for the Vikings will punch it home to go up 16. Next possession, McGruum again, he gets the ball and he'll juke a few pretzels for another big play before he's brought down right here. And later on a wide receiver screen, David Roberts is gonna get it, follow his blockers, spin, cut across the field and into the end zone for the Vikings touchdown. They clinch a playoff berth, winning this one 52-14.
Belvidere North was at home trying to run its record as 6-0 against Auburn, and North, though, playing without one of its best players, Joseph Brown, suffered a serious elbow injury last week. He's basically done for the season. Boy, does that hurt them on offense, defense, and special teams. First quarter, though, fullback Darius Fort here gets it. He's going to go up the middle for the 4-yard touchdown, putting the Blue Thunder on the board first. Later in the first quarter, it's Nico Bertolino trying to get to the edge. My money's on him making it. He does. He's in for the TD, 14-0. And the Knights, though, had some fight in them tonight. Anthony Purifoy to Leonard Spates. Can he get in? The dive, and yes, he is. TD Knights, that made it 14-6. Then right before halftime, big Patrick DeBose on the carry. It often takes a village to bring him down. He is tackled at the 3. He then will score here in a pile. The Blue Thunder, though, took control in the second half, and they won it 35-18 to remain undefeated.
Winless Belvidere took on winless Jefferson, so one of these teams was going to get a W. Starting with the Bucks, Trey Williams will take the snap, and the Bucks draw up a reverse, and the Jayhawks defenders stop the Bucks from going anywhere on the third down, 3 and out. Jayhawks ball now with Sebastian Brachius, 3-step drop, finds Randy Johnson, and Johnson powers through to just get short of the end zone. Next Jayhawks play, though, Joseph Alvarez takes the snap and sneaks into the end zone for the touchdown. Bucks tried to get something going, but Trey Williams will get stopped for a loss here. Jayhawks were too much for the Bucks. Jefferson gets in the win column. The Jayhawks beat the Bucks 51-26.
So let's check out the updated Nick 10 standings, and wow, what a race. Belvidere North leads at 6-0. Then we've got Boylan, Guilford, and Hononega all at 5-1, and Harlem one more notch behind at 4-2. So Belvidere North is in the driver's seat, but the Blue Thunder's remaining schedule, they're home next week against 5-1 Hononega. Then they're at Harlem, which currently is 4-2, and then at Guilford, which is currently 5-1. That's a rough stretch. So let's bring in Tim again. So Tim, crazy race. Who's going to win this thing?
It's crazy. It's so up in the air. But, you know, this time of the year, this is what you want to see in this conference. You know, we talked about 2 weeks ago, we talked about parity. This is the type of parity that we like to see here in the conference. It's a tough race. I mean, it could go either way. But the team that's really playing hot right now that I have to go with to answer your question, Scott, is Boylan. The way they played tonight at Hononega, I mean, I see the Titans may be able to run the table these next 3 weeks.
All right, it's going to be fun, though. Since Belvidere North is in the driver's seat, what's their biggest strength? What do they have going for them?
Well, they lost Brown, so they lose the running. Yep, they lost the running back, so that hurts them offensively. He was a defensive player as well. So I think what Belvidere needs to do, they have to figure out how to move the ball in the air. We know what they do on the ground. They pound. But, it's going to come to a point in the game where they're going to have to actually be able to move the ball in the air to beat some really good teams that they have left on their schedule. So that's what I think that they need to do.
And we saw Harlem's Jamani Muhammad have another huge night against East. He is so fast. How do you defend that type of speed if you're playing Harlem?
Well, Muhammad's just he's gifted. He's got some really good innate ability. The kid can go from 0 to 100 in 0.1 seconds. I mean, you see it here in the clip. I mean, the kid has game changing ability. He's a big time playmaker. And the beauty of it all with this kid, I believe he's only a sophomore. So, we're going to see a couple more years of this young man here, and sky's the limits for him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I can't wait to watch him play for 2 more years. Right. Tim, thanks so much.
Thank
what a
you.
great
Appreciate
night. What a
it.
great
night.
conference race.
Yes.
We'll
Very
catch
excited.
you again next week, bud.
Appreciate it.
So much fun. Coming up in a bit, we take a look at how the lack of officials is impacting high school football around the state line. But first, highlights from the Big Northern Conference.
And DuPac and Dakota go at it in the NUIC. You're watching Overtime.
Next week is the big game in the NUIC between DuPac and Lena Winslow, but the Rivermen couldn't get caught looking ahead tonight.
Yeah, they had to deal with the Dakota team that has shown what it's capable of by beating Forreston a couple weeks ago. But last week, the Indians were stunned by Eastland Pearl City. So what would happen in this game tonight at Dakota? First quarter, Rivermen football, and it's A.J. Mulcahy for the touchdown. How many times have we said that already this season? Next drive for DuPac. How about a big man play? Cooper Hoffman looking over to Brian Green, and the lineman has himself a first down. How about that? Second quarter, same drive. Nathan Folk gets it, finds a hole to his right, shrugs off a tackle attempt. He is in for another Riverman touchdown, making it 14-0. Weird play here on the next kickoff. DuPac kicks it back to the Indians. Nobody touches the football for Dakota. It's laying there. It's a live ball. Gets knocked in the end zone, covered by the Rivermen. That, folks, is a touchdown. It was 21-0. DuPac went on to win this one 48-20. Elsewhere in the NUIC, Forreston beat West Carroll 66-6, and Fulton beat Stockton 44-6. Galena defeated EPC 28-13, and Lena Winslow beat Woodstock Marion 54-7. All right, let's switch to the Big Northern Conference. Can any team slow down Stillman Valley?
My guess is no. The Cardinals are a threat to run the table in the conference. They were looking to improve to 6-0 tonight on their home turf. Taylor Castro was there for that action, and she joins us now. Hello, Taylor.
Hey, guys. The Cardinals hosted the North Boone Vikings. The Vikings had only one win coming in, but they're a better team than their record indicates. They have the Big Northern Conference's leading passer in Chandler Andlerman and the dangerous Chris Dutch at receiver. The Cardinals had a new look tonight. For the first time in school history, they came out in all black uniforms, looking sharp. Now the Viking defense did a lot of damage tonight. Here they stopped Jory Spain from going on what could have been a big run. But the Cardinals defense was up to par too. Andrew Forcier will get through to sack North Boone's QB. Now Braden Engel hands it off to Spain, and he is not easy to take down. Look at that Viking defense. Now, Cale Rauman will toss to Porter Needs, who throws it to Ethan Engelkin, and he runs in for the TD, but there's a flag on the play. Stillman Valley is called for holding, and they'll be pushed back to the 38-yard line. This time, Rauman will target Spain, and he runs for a huge gain, and it'll keep the drive alive. The Cardinals would work their way in for the touchdown. Stillman Valley beats North Boone 21-7. So the Cardinals improved to 6-0. Next Friday, they'll host Winnebago. Regan and Scott.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Now, the Byron Tigers have not given up hope of catching Stillman Valley in the Big Northern. The Tigers are again back with one loss.
Tonight, they went after their 5th straight win in a home game against Rock Falls. The Tigers were big favorites against the winless Rockets. It didn't take long for them to get on the board. Braden Smith to Braden Knoll, and he'll run in for the score. Another pass from Smith, this time to Jacob Ross for a big gain. Hard for Vikings defenders to take that one down. Everett Wichman, big carry again. Hard for the Vikings defense to get a stop. Wichman got some extra yards there. And Smith will take this one into the end zone himself. Byron destroys Rock Falls 63-0.
So the Tigers roll on. Winnebago could be closing in on a playoff berth. The Indians were looking for their 4th win tonight at home against Rockford Christian. On the opening kickoff, we got to give the band some airtime, don't we? Love that airtime for the band. All right, Bjorn Carlson going to pick up the kickoff, the return, and find some lanes, running for a nice return on the opposing side of the field. Brody Carlson then for the Lions here. Going to look to pass, run to the outside. Big hit coming up here by the Winnebago defender. Pops him. 4th down and goal now. The Royal Lions, Jaden Williams this time tries to get in for the final score, but it was short. Turnover on downs. Indians with a little breathing room. Alec Weevil here draws some play action. Brandon Wiggins got it. Wiggins goes down the sideline for the long gain. Good speed there, and then to the 9-yard line we go. And Weevil's going to hand the ball off to Supreme Muhammad. What a year he is having. He breaks a tackle and gets in for the first score of the game in the Indians TD. Bago beat Rockford Christian 56-18. Also in the Big Northern Conference, Dixon beat Lutheran 22-19, and Genoa Kingston beat Oregon 19-0.
In other games tonight, Rochelle takes Marengo 48-27, and Sycamore beats Canelan 28-7, while DeKalb beats Wanabase Valley 49-19.
In 8-man football, Amboy defeated Hiawatha 26-12. Polo beat Bushnell Prairie City 48-6, while Ashton Franklin Center beat South Beloit. There's a look at that Polo score. South Beloit got by Ashton Franklin Center 44-40. All right, let's take another timeout.
When we come back, we'll look at the growing problem of a lack of officials in high school football and how it's forcing everyone to make adjustments. We've heard the story already a lot this season. Friday night games moving to Saturdays because there aren't enough guys in stripes to go around. Last week, one officiating crew had to do 2 varsity games Friday night because of the continued shortage of officials around the area. That's the focus of this week's Overtime Spotlight segment.
It's very difficult right now.
The numbers have continued to drop over the last few years.
We've lost probably 30 to 40% of our football officials.
The shortage of football officials has been felt throughout the state of Illinois, but especially in this area within the NIC-10. Jeff Carr is a retired Big Ten football official. He assigns NIC-10 officials to games.
We've been recruiting people, and we actually have picked up, 8, 10 new people this year, which has helped, but we haven't gained any ground for what we lost.
And because they can't get new officials, it's on the current crews to pick up the slack. One crew had to work 2 varsity games in one night last week. The first at Auburn, the second at Hononega.
I approached them with that. I said, "Are you willing to do this?" And they said, "Yeah, we'd be willing to work 2 games that night."
Certainly not easy. It's hard to do one game, but to have the concentration level to do 2 games.
It starts to hit home that there's a real problem here. And not just at the varsity level. There's a ripple effect to all levels.
It goes beyond just high school sports, because now the little kids usually play on Saturdays, and usually we're all free to go do 3, 4, 5 little kids games, and instead we're going to do varsity games. It's kind of like, wow, it is actually getting real that there aren't enough people to cover Friday night varsity games.
This crew has been reffing together for the last 12 years. They grew up playing sports, and now they spend their weekends back on the field together.
This is teamwork and camaraderie for us, and we're all kind of unified. We don't do it for the money, we do it for the love of the game, and we want to give back and be out here for these guys.
They are out there because they remember how much they loved Friday nights, and they want to make sure these kids are able to have those same experiences.
And that's what we tell the kids at the coin flip, that we're out here for them. And that's what matters the most.
We're here for the kids, and we're going to do everything we can because we remember what it was like to be a kid playing. There was no better time than competing with your friends on the field. So we're going to do everything we can so that the kids have that same opportunity we did.
And that may be the case for now, but at some point down the road, there's going to come a time when this crew won't be able to do it anymore.
If we don't get officials, the game doesn't continue to play.
Another 5 or 10 years without more people coming in, yeah, could be a real problem.
For these guys, officiating is a way for them to stay involved in the game they love, and they hope more athletes will use officiating as a path to do the same.
When I first started out, a guy told me that the more snaps you see, the better off you're going to be.
We got too old to play anymore, so the best way to get on the field again is to be an official.
I mean, if you love the sport and you're too old to play, as those guys said, becoming an official might just be the answer. And Mike did tell me he really uses it as a way to stay competitive, always going after reffing that perfect game. And they hope current athletes will do the same. And as Jeff Carr said, the IHSA might have to make a bigger push to start recruiting young men and women to become officials, so this problem will only get worse. Hey, our thanks to all of the men and women who do officiate these games. Our Friday nights wouldn't be possible without them. We'll be right back after this final timeout.
Where is this half hour gone? What a night. Huh? We love this. Hey, join us every Friday night at 11 o'clock if you enjoyed it as much as we did. Every Friday at 11 o'clock on Fox 39, that's when you will find Overtime. And if you want to watch it all again, remember you can find highlights and scores anytime by going to mystateline.com. That will do it for this show. I know we had a lot of fun. Certainly did. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.